So you just got your commercial pilot certificate and you've got under 500 hours and you're thinking, all right, now what? Can I actually get paid to fly without waiting years to become an airline pilot? The good news is the answer is yes. And in this video, I'm breaking down the top 5 pilot jobs that you can get with as little as 250 to 300 hours. We're going to focus on 5 categories. And I'm even going to show you some real job listings that I found this week so you know exactly where to start applying. By the end of the video, you'll know exactly where you fit and how to start building real paid flight time fast. So if that sounds good to you, smash the like button and let's dive into the details. Most aspiring pilots think you need 1,500 hours or an airline connection to get paid, but that's simply not true. In certain corners of aviation, there are companies hiring pilots with as little as 250 to 500 hours. This means real opportunities to start earning sooner for low-time pilots. So let me show you exactly where some of those opportunities are. Job 1 is a survey pilot. So a survey pilot missions collect data for maps, utilities, and other industries. It is a very fast way to stack your hours. Sometimes you can expect to fly over 100 hours in a single month. The flying is repetitive because you're following the same route in the sky over and over, and you may be required to spend several days or even weeks away from home. So the difficulty of getting the job, well, we'll call that moderate. There are a fair number of companies, and the demand is rather seasonal. The difficulty of the job, it's kind of low to moderate. It's repetitive missions, it's long flights, and you're going over the same routes. Some people call it mowing the lawn in the sky. Job satisfaction, we'll call that medium. It is great for hours, but kind of boring for variety. So some of the pros of this job is fast hour building and steady work, but some of the cons are it's rather repetitive and you are going to be away from home a lot. So it's good for pilots who are focused on building hours quickly, but not so good for pilots who want variety in their flying or hate being away from home. To see current opportunities that we were able to discover, just look down in the video description for the links. And by the way, the Fly with Trent Guide to Accelerated Flight Training has a full section on how to make jobs like this less of a grind and more of a career stepping stone. And there is a link to that in the first pinned comment. If you're enjoying this video and finding great value, you're definitely going to want to grab a free copy of my Fast Track Flight Training Blueprint so you can discover how to become a professional pilot in as little time as possible for the least expense possible. And to do that, just visit flywithtrent.com. Okay, for job number 2, we have pipeline patrol. This is where you are flying at low levels along pipelines, checking for damage and safety issues. It's consistent work with solid pilot and command hours, but it can be kind of boring and it does require constant focus. The difficulty of getting the job, well, I'm going to call that moderate. There are a number of niche operators and the demand is pretty steady. The difficulty of the job itself is also moderate to high because of low-level ops, and it requires constant focus and discipline. The job satisfaction, well, I'm going to call that medium because the job is stable, but it is rather monotonous. So the pros of this is it's consistent pilot and command hours and a steady paycheck, but the cons are it's kind of boring flying and there is definitely safety risks when you're that low to the ground that often. So it's really good for detail-oriented and disciplined pilots, but not so good for pilots who want excitement or dislike repetitive operations. There are again current opportunities down in the video description. The one that we've got requires a minimum of 400 hours, a commercial single-engine land certificate, and they prefer an instrument rating, and they highly prefer a CFI certificate, but it is not mandatory. Job number 3 is a skydive jump pilot. So skydive pilots fly skydivers to jump altitude repeatedly, offering tons of takeoff and landing practice in a single day. It's a social job, it's fun, and it helps build hours quickly, but of course it is seasonal. So the difficulty of getting the job, easy to moderate, and that's going to depend on your location and of course the season. And the difficulty of the job, well, we'll call it moderate because there is constant takeoffs and landings and it's somewhat physically demanding. Job satisfaction, we're going to call that high because it's a pretty fun environment and it's a great community of skydivers for you to network with. So pros of this job is you're going to build hours quickly with lots of takeoffs and landings and all of that great networking with the skydivers. But the cons are it's seasonal, it can be an intense workload, and it is lower pay than other jobs we've talked about in this video. So it's good for younger pilots who want all that stick and rudder practice and they want to be a part of a fun community, but it's not for pilots relying on year-round steady income because nobody's doing any skydiving in the wintertime. So one of the pain points is, as I mentioned, that your hours might only build in the summer, so you are going to need a backup plan for the winter. As far as current opportunities, the best thing to do is check your local drop zones and then also scour sites like Indeed for skydive pilot jobs. So that brings us to job number 4, and that is flying in Alaska. So this is probably one of the most adventurous and exciting jobs. So Part 135 bush flying in Alaska is a career and adventure powerhouse. You're going to fly into remote areas, you're going to handle challenging weather, and you're going to gain invaluable experience. Many pilots do use this type of flying as a stepping stone to much bigger opportunities. Difficulty in getting the job? It's a little harder because it's quite competitive. And again, to a degree, it's seasonal. And so that's going to make it tricky. Difficulty of the job itself? Well, that is also high because of the rugged terrain, the challenging weather, and the remote operations. As a matter of fact, my sim partner, when I was in training, he actually was an Alaskan bush pilot. And one of the things he told me, he says, Trent, I am almost never above 800 feet AGL. And a lot of times I'm flying right underneath the clouds with minimal clearance. So it's definitely flying that is not for the faint at heart. So the job satisfaction is probably pretty high for most people because it's very adventurous. You're going to see amazing sights and it's going to be really good for your resume. Some of the pros, of course, is it's a career booster because of the trickiness of the flying. It's also going to be, as I mentioned, adventurous, and it's going to give strong pay at higher levels. Some of the cons, of course, it's the remote lifestyle. Now, some of the operators that I'll mention here in a little bit do allow you to do 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. So you are going to be up in Alaska for 2 weeks, but then you can come home for another 2 weeks. But you aren't, nonetheless, if you're going to be up there, there's the remote lifestyle, there's harsh weather, and there is going to be a tough learning curve. And of course, in the wintertime, it is going to be cold as hell. So this is good for ambitious and adventurous pilots, but not so good for pilots who prefer comfort and routine. Among the operators that I recommend you take a look at are the following. So you've got Grant Aviation, which is probably the biggest player. They're known for their commuter service and charters with a large fleet of turboprops and seaplanes. You've also got Bering Air, which offers private passenger and cargo charters, particularly in Western Alaska. There's Everts Air, which provides air cargo, freight, and passenger flights through services throughout Alaska. There's 40 Mile Air, a veteran operator based in Tok, I think that's how you say it, and that's specializing in charter services to the backcountry of eastern interior Alaska. And then Monarch Air Group, while not exclusively an Alaska operator, it does offer private jet and air charter services to and within Alaska, providing various jet sizes for different travel needs. And then we have Alaska Air Transit, which provides on-demand charter services with a fleet of modern turboprops for dependable service from Anchorage. I wanted to let you know that I've recently started another YouTube channel, and it's called Invest with Trent. It's all about investing in commercial real estate, something that I've had a fair amount of success doing over the last couple of years. And to learn more and join the weekly newsletter, head on over to investwithtrent.com. All right, now let's talk about job number 5. The opposite of that cold Alaska is flying in Hawaii, doing tourist and sightseeing flights. So Hawaiian tourist flying lets you hop between islands and enjoy incredible scenery while building hours and experience. Your flights are going to be frequent, it's going to be tropical weather, the runways are short, and it's going to make it challenging but beautiful. Also can be a bridge to regional airlines. Difficulty in getting the job is going to be moderate. It's obviously location specific. Difficulty of the job itself, moderate to high because of the tropical weather, the short runways, and the high frequency of the flights. But the job satisfaction is also going to be high because of all of that beautiful flying. So it's very much a lifestyle job. Some of the pros, as I mentioned a couple of times, gorgeous flying, and bridge to the regional airlines. Some of the cons is expensive cost of living, and of course, it's going to be a demanding schedule. So this is going to be good for pilots who love Hawaii and lifestyle balance, but maybe not so good for pilots who want to save money or dislike tourist operations. One of the biggest employers is called Makalele Air, and they are currently advertising a first officer position that requires a minimum of 500 hours. So let's recap the 5 jobs that you can land at somewhere between 250 and 500 hours. You've got survey flying, pipeline patrol, skydiving, Alaska Charter 135 operations, and Hawaii tours. So the key takeaway here is you really don't have to have 1,500 hours or an airline contract. You can start getting paid now without having to be a CFI. So what I'm interested in hearing is, which job would you choose? Go ahead and share that down in the comments. And if you have a friend that's stuck at 250 hours, maybe consider sending them a link to this video. And if you did enjoy this video, I'd welcome you to become a subscriber of the channel. And you may also want to consider becoming a subscriber to the Fly with Trent newsletter, which you can join at flywithtrent.com. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you in the next video soon. Take care. Bye-bye.